This episode's brought to you by the Public Domain Shop, a clothing brand inspired by classic literature and film. Use the code Wolff to get 10% off your next sweatshirt purchase. Whenever a movie's claimed to be the best of the year or top prize at a film festival, it's easy to think of other times you've heard it, but good or bad did not see it that way. To be skeptical about the next movie to get the same treatment. Such is the case with Chloé Zhao's latest film, Hamnet, a movie that's by all means good, emotional, and bittersweet, just not what I call a People's Choice Award winner. Jessie Buckley plays Agnes Shakespeare, wife of who the hell do you think? Played by Paul Mescal, because calling her by her real name would have been a tad confusing. And the movie tells a fictionalized account of the era from when they first met up until the premiere of Hamlet, and how the loss of their only son shaped both their relationship and the classic tragedy. Now I'll admit, though I like Chloé Zhao as a filmmaker, I've only seen what can charitably be described as her best and worst accomplishments, so don't consider this a feral look at her style, but her camera work and editing has this great balance of being minimalist yet cinematic, where there are plenty of scenes done in longer takes, but because the actors are symmetrically staged in a way that complements the shot, your eyes look back and forth between each actor, whether they're speaking or reacting to the drama at hand. One technique of hers I really appreciated in this especially was how often the camera would very slowly pan from an empty section of the frame to whoever or whatever was the focus of the scene, as if to slowly reveal something tragic, the big example being when their child is on the brink of death. The background shots of the English countryside all look beautiful and make for a comfortable, warm atmosphere in what are otherwise turbulent times for the characters. And as much as Max Richter's beautifully bittersweet score carries the most emotion in every scene to make it more heartwarming or tragic than it already was, Zhao and her co-editor Afonso Gonçalves carefully choose when to let the actors and ambient background noise carry the scene and pick just the right moments to introduce the music that elevates the drama. And as for the actual drama of the story, it's most effective when we see the Shakespeares as a family before and after the tragedy. Paul Mescal, Jessie Buckley, Jacobi Jupe, Olivia Lynes, and Bodhi Breathnach. Again, I apologize. Don't have a ton of scenes together, but the interactions they have where the kids are putting on shows for their mother, William is teaching Hamnet stage combat, or even in the more somber moments preceding the play where they lose someone else close to them, and the subtle details in their facial expressions and body language makes for such a wholesome, believable family dynamic. Every kid gets individual moments to shine, expressing their grief over the situation at hand. Jacobi Jupe in particular gives a really good child performance where he and his sister are the closest as siblings and the closest ones to dying given their situation, and having to consistently portray life-threatening stress would be difficult for any adult actor, but the inflections in both of their line delivery, especially when Jupe decides to make this sacrifice to save his sister, sells them as kids wise beyond their years to understand what's happening while still living in fear the way any kid would, dying or watching someone close to them die. And it was heartbreaking to watch, more so during the climax when Noah Jupe appears as one of Shakespeare's stage actors playing who the fuck else? And it goes without saying, the resemblance reminds William and Agnes of Hamnet for better and worse, and the way Jupe realistically performs the way an actor would in this era, even having an arc of his own where, in his first scene, he's only reciting lines without the emotion needed for the character, but by the end of the movie, when he's flawlessly performing all his lines and moves the crowd so much there's this impromptu moment where he has to improvise his physicality while also realizing the impact he's had on everyone, makes for what I think is honestly Noah Jupe's best performance. Even Emily Watson has this standout moment as Shakespeare's mother where she's confronted by her granddaughter about what's going to happen to her sister, and you can see in her eyes Watson does not want to tell her, but is strong enough to give her the cold hard truth. Now, you may have noticed by now I haven't talked that much about William and Agnes's relationship, and that's because they were honestly my least favorite aspect of the film, and I'm not sure how much of that is because of the script or the actors, because to their credit, Jessie Buckley and Paul Mescal have genuine chemistry where William starts off awkward and introverted, but is so smitten by her that she's the reason he starts writing his own stories, and given she's been gossiped about for so long in her life that she doesn't care what others think, it makes sense her self-confidence would inspire him to do the same, but for whatever reason, when they're acting without each other, which is actually a lot, there's a fair bit of the movie where William's out of the picture, their performances come off either overreaching or underwhelming. I haven't seen After Sun where everyone loved him, so maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm sorry, I don't get what makes Paul Mescal a good actor. To me, he has this very blank face and drab voice and only resembles one emotion. There's seriously a point where he's contemplating things, and suddenly starts coming up with to be or not to be on the fly, which was already done in such a hokey way, but a good actor can save a moment like that, but I just didn't see or hear any emotion in this guy. Jessie Buckley, on the other hand, I can't say is doing a bad job. You can definitely feel the frustration she experiences having to be the only parent in the house before and after a life-changing tragedy just through her expressions, but considering the amount of physical and emotional pain she goes through, she's given a lot of moments to ugly cry or scream in agony, and sometimes it is so loud, in your face, it does come off more like a performance than what someone else might do in real life, which did take me out of the experience and made it awkward for the wrong reasons. Not to mention, whenever she's mumbling to herself, it's impossible to understand what the fuck she's saying. And the other big problem I had is something I know was a storytelling choice, but I do think focusing more on Agnes than William was a huge mistake. They should have been equal focus, and the reason I say that is because the movie gives him shit for not being around when it matters most, which is deserved. I'm not gonna act like he couldn't have been there more often or moved his family closer to his work sooner, but at the same time, the movie doesn't nearly delve into Shakespeare's writing and production process. The very passion of his that fulfilled him was inspired by her, provided for the family despite keeping him away from them, which could be a compelling character flaw that you could both appreciate for its impact while criticizing his absence. They don't delve into that anywhere near as much as they should. Whether it was intentional or not, the fact they don't show how much time and effort goes into a play, why it keeps him away while mostly showing Agnes struggling by herself, does come across as one-sided, which is weird considering you can show Shakespeare's work process while still pointing out the consequences that come from it. If anything, the majority of his success as a playwright is sped through in exposition as opposed to showing the most pivotal moments save for the debut of Hamlet. It's honestly disappointing to me that someone so good at visual storytelling like Chloé Zhao had so much expository dialogue about William and Agnes's backstories, their conversations on what has happened or what they hope or dread will, among other things. But for every negative quality I had to say about Hamnet, the craft on display from Chloé Zhao's direction, the editing, the musical score, the performances of the side actors, and to their credit, when our main leads work together on screen, all tell a story that could have been overly sappy or manipulative, but strike the right balance to where I was smiling and feeling sad at just the right moments to where I am glad I saw it. It won't be on my best of the year list like it will for a lot of people, but I do recommend it. And with that, guys, thanks as always for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Hamnet. Be sure to stay tuned for more reviews, check me out on Patreon and buy me a coffee, and be sure to like and subscribe. Take care.